Thank you all for taking your time to join us today. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Adam Marsh and I'm joined today by my colleague Adam Bridgett. Adam is supporting me today in presenting and I'm here to answer any questions you may have throughout the presentation. I hope you can all see the Q&A bar in the top right of the screen, so please feel free to ask any questions at any point and I will endeavour to answer those questions for you. I hope that today's presentation gives you a clear insight of the immediate changes coming to the heating industry and how Heatstore can help support you plan and manage those changes. We have a varied audience attending today, so we hope the presentation provides an overview of all key subject matters. So without further ado, I'd like to hand you over to Adam to start the presentation.
Well, thank you very much, Adam, and good morning once again, everybody. So initially, we just wanted to give you a very brief overview of Heatstore and our history. Well, Heatstore is actually the oldest electric heating company in the UK and was established back in 1962. And this being our 60th anniversary year, a fact that we're very proud of. And today, Heatstore products are specified with some of the largest housing associations, county councils and local authorities in and around the UK. So we have a long history at Heatstore, but moving forward to now, our direction is all about supporting our partners for a carbon-free UK. And there are big changes coming to the heating industry. And those changes are driven by one key piece of legislation. And that is the UK government's decision to commit to net zero carbon emissions by the year 2050. And of course, this is a huge undertaking for the country. And the UK was the first major economy in the world to commit to net zero by 2050, increasing the ambition of its legally binding Climate Change Act. And today, the country has cut its emissions by around 2/5 since the 1990s, with almost all of its recent progress coming from the electricity sector. However, the UK will require significantly more low carbon electricity over the next decade and beyond as part of meeting its legally binding climate change goals. So the Committee on Climate Change, the government's official advisor, have recommended the toughest measures anywhere in the industrial world to rein in pollution. Drawn up by a panel including scientists, industry officials, lawmakers and analysts, their 277-page report suggests a drastic overhaul for all industry, agriculture and aviation. And just some of the changes that the report suggests are that coal should be phased out of the power grid in the early 2020s, with renewables taking a far bigger share. Also, electric vehicles should replace ones running on petrol or diesel by the year 2030. And of course, this is a clear example of the scale of the changes that are required. And of course, this change is happening right before our eyes. But they've also recommended dramatic changes to the heating industry. And when we look at the total carbon emissions of the UK, it's clear to see why. Heat is the biggest contributing factor by far. Heat accounts for 37% of our total carbon emissions. And today, our homes are primarily heated by fossil fuels and contribute to a massive 17% of our total carbon emissions, equivalent to all of the UK's 38 million cars. So the Committee on Climate Change have subsequently confirmed, as their first steps towards this, they are banning natural gas in new build properties from 2025, just a short 3 years away. And in real terms, for organisations and businesses, this is imminent. And today and now, organisations and many of our partners are already planning their heating roadmaps for the coming years. And the best way to primarily achieve our carbon targets, of course, is through electrification and decarbonising of the electric grid. Quite simply, the more carbon-free renewables that supply the grid, the less reliant the grid is on carbon-intensive fossil fuels. And over the past few years, vast amounts of money has been invested in renewables technology. And at the end of 2019, a record 37% of the UK's energy was provided by renewables. And this has increased further throughout and into 2020. And the National Grid, confirmed in their annual report that 2020 was the cleanest year on record for carbon-free energy. In 2020, renewables accounted for more than 43.1% of the UK's total electricity generated, at 312 terawatt hours. This outstripped fossil fuels over the course of the year for the first time in our nation's history. And also, 2021 also produced a new record for zero carbon power, delivering an incredible 50% of our electricity. And to take this a step further, the government have now announced, as part of their green industrial revolution, to produce enough offshore wind to power every home in the UK by 2030. So the trajectory is clear. The UK aims to make the electricity grid as close to carbon neutral as possible. So as the grid decarbonises, electric heating becomes a clear solution, and for one key reason. And that is that electric heating produces 0 grams of CO2 emissions per kilowatt hour at the point of use. And this is now the singular most important benefit for electric heating. However, of course, this is on top of the traditional benefits associated with electric heating, such as lower initial installation cost, no maintenance cost, and no annual requirement for certified gas certificates for landlords, and of course, total and individual heating control. So what does this mean for us now? Well, for the first time in 8 years, as from the 16th of June of this year, the government have updated the Standard Assessment Procedure software, SAP, the software that creates an energy performance certificate. And as we know, SAP calculations are a vital part of the building regulation compliance in the UK, and measure the planned energy performance of a new dwelling. The updates aim to ensure that SAP calculations are more accurately reflecting the real world as built performance of a building. And many of the changes affect a building project right from the design stage. So at Heatstore, we're keen to get a head start on understanding and planning for those changes. So what are the key changes in SAP 10 relating to heating? Well, the primary energy factors and fuel prices have been updated. Default distribution loss factors associated with heat networks have increased. The assessment of summer internal temperatures has been refined, and also default heat pump efficiencies have also been updated.
Sorry, Adam, it's Adam here. We have a question. SAP 10, as you say, is changing. Is reduced data RD SAP changing?
Thank you, Adam. Well, as you know, SAP 10 is for new dwellings and RD SAP is for existing dwellings. And RD SAP will change, but it typically follows on between 8 to 10 months after SAP is updated. So I'd anticipate to see those changes for RD SAP in spring of 2023 next year. And another big change in SAP 10 is the heating pattern. So previously, SAP has had different heating patterns for weekdays and weekends. However, studies have shown there was actually less of a difference between the weekdays and weekends than previously thought. So SAP 10 will move to using the same heating pattern for all days, which is on at 7 AM till 9 AM in the morning, and then from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 11 o'clock in the evening. And of course, we believe at Heatstore SAP should always follow good evidence as closely as possible, so we welcome this change. And it'll likely mean better ratings for homes, as the heating will now be defaulted to being on less at the weekends. But when it comes to electric heating, the part that we're particularly interested in is something called the heating carbon factor. So this doesn't mean how efficient is your heating system, as electric is 100% efficient at the point of use. It means how much carbon is produced into the atmosphere to create your energy. And the carbon factor is based on a scale between 0 to 1. 0 meaning a power source is carbon neutral, and 1 being particularly carbon poor. And the changes to the heating carbon factor for electric in SAP 10 are dramatic. And as you can see from the chart, SAP 10 now gives electric heating a 0.13 carbon factor, reduced from 0.519, that now gives electric a lower heating carbon factor than that of natural gas. To summarise, this equates to a 75% reduction in the carbon levels of electric heating listed in SAP. So lowering the emission factor for electric heating now makes it much more feasible to incorporate electric heating systems in a new dwelling design, as well as being more true to real-world performance. And this really is a huge and significant change to legislation.
Sorry, Adam, another question in here. Just to say, you said the renewables was a record last year at 37%. How is SAP going to keep up with these changes?
Okay, thank you, Adam. Good question. SAP have actually introduced with SAP 10 a live update facility. So we now don't have to wait another 8 years for the next update to SAP. The software can simply be updated as renewables and carbon-free energy increases, and therefore the carbon factor reduces further. I hope that answers the question for you, Adam. So as a direct result of these changes, and even with the legislation only coming into effect just 2 months ago in June, Heatstore has seen a huge increase in its complementary design service for new build properties. And our design service scheme count is up over 59% since the legislation. And this now presents an incredible opportunity for our partners really to reevaluate their future heating requirements.
Adam, another question. How do we get a design?
Okay, so our established partners would send their design requirements directly to our technical design department, who then liaise with the local regional sales manager. However, in the first instance, really our technically qualified regional sales managers who work very closely with our design team would be the best option. They'd be able to advise on the best solution and solutions available, but they'd also be able to manage the whole process from the start to finish for our new customers. And really that moves us on to how can we help support you and your business or organisation? Well, firstly, Heatstore offers industry-leading product ranges that offer unique features and benefits to the industry. But we also offer our partners complementary industry-leading customer backup, service and support, including unparalleled product availability, logistics and supply. But our regional sales managers are really the key to developing our close long-term working partnerships that our social housing partners require. Our regional sales managers can provide all the technical support that they may need, be one key point of contact, they'll lead a project from the start to finish, and they'll always ensure that our partners get the correct heating solution for their requirements. So moving forward, we have a 3-point plan to support any customer that would like to partner with Heatstore. So firstly, we'd like to arrange an introductory video conference meeting or in-person meeting if you prefer with your local Heatstore sales manager to discuss your heating requirements and your heating needs. And then for Heatstore to create your ideal electric heating solution based on your needs and your requirements. And then thirdly, at Heatstore, we offer the Heatstore Dynamic Design Service 100% guarantee. And if for any reason the property does not achieve and hold the design and specified room temperature after installation, Heatstore will offer additional free of charge heaters and cover any incurred costs for the installation of those heaters to ensure the correct results at no extra charge to the customer. So that's Heatstore's 3-point plan for supporting our partners. And ladies and gentlemen, just before I pass you back over to Adam to conclude today's presentation, I'd just like to finish by noting once again that Heatstore are here as your electric heating partner to support social housing organisations with all your electric heating needs, no matter how large or small they may be. And ultimately, that we believe that with the changes coming to the heating industry, electric space heating products provide a low carbon heating solution that is cost effective to install and for customers also to operate. So thank you all again for your time this morning, and that's it from myself. And I'd now like to pass you back over to Adam to finish today's meeting. Back over to you, Adam. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. So Adam has just gone through how the Committee on Climate Change has banned gas and how renewables are changing current regulations. SAP is changing to make electric heating the system of choice, and Heatstore are able to offer guidance and support for this change to all of our long-term partners. So we'd like to offer you all the opportunity to become a Heatstore long-term partner. Your local Heatstore sales manager will follow up today's meeting with a copy of today's presentation and further details of how to arrange an initial meeting. Thank you all again for attending. That's all from Adam and myself. Thank you.